and today we are going to be watching the infamy of Japan's worst surgeon. I am a surgeon. You are an iPad. Let's get it on. Let's get going.
Never give up on your dreams.
Never
no matter
give up.
how many times you fail. One Japanese man took this message to heart. The only issue was, his dream was to be a brain surgeon.
Okay, maybe it's good to like have other dreams too.
Like, I dreamed of going to space, but instead of going to space, I just space out.
And no matter how hard he tried, he just sucked at it.
No!
But that didn't stop him. He would never give up. No matter how many procedures he screwed up, no matter how many lives he ruined, he would be a surgeon.
No! Oh, no.
It's July 2019, and Matsui Hiroki has just been hired.
Okay, what would be worse? A surgeon who never gives up on his dream of being a surgeon even though he sucks? Or an air traffic controller
Who never gives up? That is gonna have devastating consequences for society.
Hired by Akko City Hospital, the only hospital in, well, Akko City. Akko is one of those small Japanese towns with not a lot going on.
I miss
The biggest
Japan.
landmarks are the train station, a shrine, and the ruins of an old castle. Matsui had been recruited by Dr. Chiba, Akko's top neurosurgeon, who was impressed by his experience
Whoa.
at Kyoto Memorial, a big hospital.
Oh my god. What was the meme I'm thinking of? Kyoto. Always Kyoto. Kyoto. Shit. I'm trying to remember. My brain farted. No, not place Japan. Yeah, Kyoto at all costs.
I will be a surgeon at all costs.
While Matsui had technically never performed a surgery, Dr.
What?
Chiba was convinced that under his mentorship, Matsui could be a huge asset for his struggling hospital. Matsui, with cutting-edge techniques and 200 surgeries under his belt, as an assistant surgeon that is, leaves such a strong impression on Chiba that he immediately puts Matsui on his neurosurgery team.
Oh my god. Level 100 persuasion can get you to working on
Somebody's brain? Is this how VTubers are made?
In his first week, Matsui is going to be the chief surgeon on a major operation, a brain tumor removal on a 30-year-old patient. Not only is the surgery a complete success, but Matsui completes it in record time.
speedrun.
In the operating room, he insists that the surgical staff literally give him
Everybody clap.
Everybody, please clap. Please clap. I can't hear you. Please clap. Thank you.
a round of applause for his achievement. Dr. Chiba is extremely impressed.
Wow.
But in the post-operative review, Chiba realizes the reason Matsui finished the procedure so quickly is because he only removed 20% of the tumor.
What?
Now, Chiba has to perform a second surgery just to clean up Matsui's mess, and fortunately the patient does go on to make a full recovery. For this
Holy
story,
crap.
that counts as a happy ending.
He said for this story.
How much of the video is left? 25 minutes!
Now, did Matsui learn anything from this mistake? No, actually he didn't even show up to the second operation. He apparently had something more important to do than brain surgery.
Maybe he was in a ranked game. Let's not jump to conclusions.
This should have been Dr. Chiba's first hint that something was wrong, but instead, he decides to cut Matsui some slack. Starting any new job is hard.
He cut him some slack? Dude!
I passed out at my bartending job. Straight up fell on the floor and bonked my head. My manager came over and said,
You got a table 12 and they need a refill? Are you gonna get up?
Especially when that job is, again, brain surgery. Dr. Chiba had a good feeling about Matsui, and he knew everything was going to work out in the end.
the rampage? Oh my god, I
2
love that
months
game.
later, Matsui seems to be getting the hang of things, so it was time for another surgery. This time, Matsui would prove himself.
Good.
Matsui's first case upon his return is an 83-year-old man presenting with paralysis below the waist. Matsui's diagnosis is hydrocephalus.
Okay, this is kind of a tangent, by the way, but isn't it cool that we know this kind of stuff? Like how to fix it and how to go inside somebody's head with like a tiny sword and like cut stuff out and figure out how to make them better? Like back in the day, you would just be done.
Basically, the guy's got fluid in his brain. Is this diagnosis backed up by any tests? No, but it's fine. Just trust him, bro. Matsui tells the patient that surgery is going to fix all his problems and get him walking again.
Wow.
Wait, why did he bring Bob the Builder to help him with surgery? What the fuck?
Okay, so the old man still can't walk after the surgery. Not only that, but now he can't even swallow, meaning that Matsui has done some serious damage.
Oh,
But
no.
Matsui just shrugs. I mean, it's not his fault, and there's nothing anyone could have done. That was his new catchphrase. By this point, Dr. Chiba was
What?
starting to get a little concerned. He conducts a review of Matsui's cases, and what he finds shocks him. For one, Matsui was finding, or more like scouting, his surgical prospects during outpatient visits.
Huh?
Matsui's basically a used car salesman for brain surgeries.
You
He
can do
diagnosed
that?
the patients based more on gut feel than tests or evidence, sell them on the idea that his surgery would solve all of their issues, and then schedule them into the OR as soon as possible. None of that boring pharmacology stuff.
Ew.
Matsui just wanted to play Operation.
Okay, I was a beast at this game. Just gonna be honest with you guys, do not mess with me. I used to be drawing all the time. I was a little artist. I was on DeviantArt. I was a freak for real. I was so good at having a steady hand.
But Chiba isn't a confrontational guy, and he did, after all, hire Matsui, so he decides to just wait and see for now.
Oh no. He's never gonna confront him because if he confronts him, that hits his ego and that means that he was wrong.
A couple days later, Matsui treats a 43-year-old man with chronic nerve pain in his face. Matsui drills a small hole in the patient's skull to relieve pressure on the compressed nerve. Sounds simple, right?
What?
Nope, the patient wakes up from surgery and discovers he's now deaf on the drilled side.
Oh,
Once again,
no.
Matsui's response is, it wasn't the surgery. There's nothing anyone could have done.
Oh.
That same week, Matsui is called in to do a procedure called a clot.
Okay.
How is he still doing all these procedures? Nobody has stepped in?
He's getting retry after retry after retry.
retrieval on a 90-year-old stroke victim, Mrs.
Oh
Yamada.
my god.
This procedure requires him to insert a device called a catheter into the patient's cerebral artery. Matsui performs the surgery in a totally carefree manner, guiding.
La 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 la.
Oh wait, CT, add some like chainsaw noises. Just checking. Wait here, let me do it like this. Add some chainsaw noises. It looks like it's my turn. Oh, 1 second. Yeah. Gonna play this, then play that. Yep, sounds good. Yep.
the catheter like he's playing Subway Surfers. Mrs. Yamada suffers an intracranial bleed during the surgery and falls into a coma.
God.
Unfortunately, Mrs. Yamada would never wake up from this coma. A month later,
Does he finally lose his job?
he
Please.
passed away. What's Matsui's reaction to this outcome? You guessed it. There was nothing anyone could have done.
Ah!
Matsui has now made 3 serious surgical errors in 8 days. For some baffling reason, Dr. Chiba still does not suspend his operating privileges.
Oh.
October
He got
3rd,
promoted.
Matsui is scheduled to perform a cervical laminoplasty on Mrs. Saito, a 75-year-old woman with cervical spinal canal stenosis. In English, Matsui is going to widen her spinal canal with a drill. It sounds terrifying, but this
That's
is a fairly
scary.
common and safe procedure. That is, until you remember this is Matsui we're talking about.
Oh, hell no.
If I walked in and I saw he was my doctor, I would walk right back out, slam the door, and just die.
Kimura, in the hospital's medical safety office, receives a call on the emergency line. She rushes to the operating room and finds Matsui in a visible state of shock. He had pierced the vertebrae at the neck, drilling
What?
directly into the spinal cord and completely severing it. The result was complete and irreversible paralysis from the neck down.
Oh
He
my
had turned Mrs.
God!
Saito into a quadriplegic. Now, Would this be the thing that makes Matsui finally take responsibility for his
Please!
actions? No, of course not. Instead, he desperately lashes out at everyone around him.
Okay, why is he going berserk mode on everybody else? Were they holding his hands and doing the operation through him? How is this not his fault?
Going as far as asking Dr. Chiba to take the fall for him.
What?
And when that doesn't work, Matsui goes to his patient, or I guess his victim at this point, begging her to let him operate again to fix the issue.
Oh
Yes,
my
his solution was
God.
more surgery. She tells him to f off, so Matsui has her sent to a rehabilitation facility under the pretext that she has dementia.
Huh?
This is the caliber of person we're talking about here. A doctor who will paralyze you, completely ruin your life, and then ship you off to some warehouse to cover up his own tracks. Just as a reminder, all of this occurred within the span of 1 month. In the time it takes for your Amazon Prime trial to expire, Matsui has killed.
And make sure you cancel your trials. Do not be like me. I forgot to cancel my YouTube TV, and I had that for a long time.
Or permanently injured 4 people. And he wasn't about to stop. We'll get to
More?
that. But
Nah. They gotta put a stat track on his scalpel. This is insane.
first, we have something much more important to talk about.
What?
The sponsor of today's video,
Yeah!
War Thunder. War Thunder is the ultimate vehicle combat game that lets you take control of anything from biplanes and armored cars from the 1920s to modern fighters and main battle tanks. With over 2,500 tanks, planes, helicopters, and ships from 10 major nations, there's something for everyone. There are so many cool options.
Any leaked military secrets? Didn't they leak military secrets in that Discord? Yeah, wait. I do remember that. Actual legendary
In this
bull.
game, and the level of detail blew me
More than once? Constantly? It happens all the time? Wait, how do you guys all know that? How you know that?
away. Not only do you have realistic graphics and authentic sound effects, but every component of every vehicle is fully modeled. The game even has an X-ray view that shows the exact trajectory of the shell and what components it blew up to take out the vehicle. I also really enjoyed the new mobile version for when I'm on the train. It's got super smooth controls and sharp graphics.
When I lived in Japan, I was playing Uma every day on the train. And that's when I realized I actually had a gambling addiction, because this guy came up and he sat next to me and he started playing Uma, but he watched the entire race and he was like, he was so happy. He was like, oh, yeah. I just go, next.
And it's on both iOS and Android. So start playing War Thunder for free on PC, PlayStation, Xbox, or mobile, and join a worldwide community of over 70 million players in epic PvP battles. Sign up using my link in the video description if you're new or a player returning after at least 6 months, and get a massive bonus pack with multiple premium vehicles, the exclusive vehicle decorator Eagle of Valor, 100,000 silver lions, and 7 days of premium. This is a limited time deal available for PC and console users, so I'll see you on War Thunder.
Yes, sir. Never give up.
So it was clear by now that Matsui was not a good surgeon. Even from the beginning, there were a bunch of red flags that Dr. Chiba had just missed, or more likely.
Okay, even the surgery salesman thing is crazy, because I hated when I was a kid when I would watch TV, because I don't have cable anymore, but when I would watch TV and there would be medical commercial ads, that would drive me nuts, because they would be like, oh, ask your doctor if you can take blah, 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 blah. I'm like, wait, my doctor's supposed to tell me what I should be taking? Why am I asking my doctor?
Ignored. Like, it turns out that even before hiring him, the head of the hospital, Dr. Fuji, had actually gone to Kyoto to discuss Matsui with his former bosses. They warned Fuji that Matsui was incapable of performing even basic medical procedures like staunch.
Attention, please. Do not let this man even play Surgeon Simulator.
He is not even allowed to be on Steam. Put him in jail.
Blood. Not only that, everyone at Kyoto absolutely despised him and thought he was a pain in the ass. This was not a surprise to the staff at Akko. I mean, Matsui's a complete mess there, too. He frequently sneezes right over patients in the middle of surgery.
Oh, wait, what the hell? Oh, hell no. I bet he iPad kid coughs too. Also, why is he not wearing a mask? Actually, I would imagine him wearing a mask and then he's like, I gotta sneeze.
His desk is a pig pen. It's covered in papers.
Okay, His desk looks a little cleaner than mine, but to be fair, I am not a surgeon.
Food, and even his own socks. One time, he was MIA for a surgery, and the staff found him in the parking lot showing off his new car.
He's doing donuts and shit. Am I supposed to be doing something?
Nah.
So why didn't anyone at Akko City Hospital stop him? Well, for some mysterious reason,
Need a
Dr.
cool
Chiba
car.
simply refused to give up on Matsui. Despite everything he's witnessed, despite everything Matsui screwed up, Chiba still clung to the delusion that Matsui could be an asset to the hospital.
Okay. How does this guy get so much glaze and I tell one joke and it's a -2 farm? This is actually insane.
And not to mention, it was hard to get any surgeon to work in Akko, even a bad one.
Oh.
But Chiba wasn't the only one who dropped the ball here. Akko Hospital actually has a medical safety office formed specifically to prevent these kind of incidents. But it was an open secret that the department was a joke. Medical safety positions here are treated like cushy landing spots for retirement age employees, and the department is staffed by former nurses, led by Kimura. While their job is ostensibly to prevent accidental
Oh.
injuries,
They're like his shrimps.
in reality, they have a vested interest in covering up any incidents and protecting the hospital's reputation. In the end, it's actually the clinical technicians who sound the alarm on Matsui. In December, a radiology technician files a complaint against him for exposing a patient to a dangerous dose of radiation
They were trying to make Soldier Boy!
during an operation. Allegedly, multiple doctors have to drag Matsui out of the operating room as he's shouting, "I'm a surgeon! He's my patient!"
I'm a surgeon.
After this incident,
love that
more and
video.
more technicians and now clinical engineers are
said
refusing
it?
to work with Matsui, forcing Dr. Chiba to second all of his surgeries. December, Matsui performs a cervical discectomy to treat an 89-year-old man's herniated disc. After the surgery,
Dude, keep this guy away from old people. He's got to have like a serial killer name by now. Holy crap. This has got to be ageist.
the patient completely loses the ability to swallow. January, Matsui installs a shunt in a patient's skull. A piece of the shunt breaks through the jugular vein and ends up in the patient's heart. Dr. Chiba has to perform a revision surgery to fix Matsui's mistake again.
Again? How does his duo Q not care that he keeps giving up cannon? And then he just keeps supporting and doesn't roam mid and give up on his ADC. Wow. Sorry, I had to put that in gamer terms for the people who don't really understand medicine.
At a New Year's party, Dr. Chiba runs across Dr. Sugihara, Matsui's former mentor at Shiga Hospital. When Matsui's name comes up, Sugihara's face goes pale. "Don't you know?" he whispers. "Matsui was expelled from our neurosurgery department." Sugihara goes on to call Matsui a catastrophic neurosurgeon who treats surgery like cutting up a radish. Sugihara tells Chiba that he's actually being sued for a surgery where Matsui was his assistant. He says, "You need to get rid of him."
Get him out of here!
But it's too late for Dr. Chiba. He's now completely paralyzed,
Did he get operated on by Matsui?
a prisoner of Matsui's insane rampage. No matter what Matsui did, all Chiba could do was follow in his wake and try to pick up the pieces. January 22nd. Dr. Chiba's
2020? Dude, that's pretty close. Oh my god, wait, it's 2026. My brain is still in 2015. That's why I'm cringe.
2015 was 11 years ago. Oh my god!
heart sinks when he learns that Matsui has pressured yet another patient into surgery. The patient is 74-year-old Mrs. Fukunaga, and the procedure is a laminoplasty, the same one that left Mrs. Saito paralyzed from the neck down.
Okay, not to be that guy, but yeah, he should be fired. But if they're gonna keep him there, they should at least give him like one try on the surgery, and as soon as he messes it up, he can't do those anymore, and he's got to do something else, or like put him on like easy stuff, not the same thing he's already been messing
3
up.
months ago. Please let Matsui learn from his mistakes, Chiba pleads. Knowing that Matsui's grasp of anatomy is tenuous at best, Chiba tries to tell Matsui exactly what he needs to do.
he's gonna just like have comms on the entire time, which would be a good thing. But also, can you not get a Yelp review for a surgeon before you go in? I don't know. I've never had like real surgery. I had my wisdom teeth taken out, and I just thought anybody could do it. I could have died because I just went to the guy that was closest to my house.
Drill here, Chiba says, pointing at a vertebrae. Matsui drills, but the patient starts bleeding, constantly bleeding.
Oh
He calls
no!
for more suction, but it's no use.
Suction.
Blood is now seeping from everywhere. Matsui is confronted by his greatest weakness.
His
the
job.
inability to staunch bleeding.
Oh
the
my
one
god!
skill that every surgeon needs. The operating field is a sea of red as sweat rolls down his face. Matsui is in complete despair. He knows he has to continue the surgery, so the only thing he can do is pick a spot and drill.
What? No!
A sickening silence. Even Matsui can feel that something is wrong because
Yeah.
his drill hits something that is definitely not.
Is it the
wrong.
same thing as before?
Dr. Chiba looks over and lets out a little whimper. Matsui has made the exact same mistake as last time. He's drilled into the spinal cord, and this time the damage is so bad that the patient's nerves look like a ball of yarn.
Oh my god.
I see it in my head, and that is awful. Dude, taken away from this, the human body kind of needs cable management. Like, wouldn't it be nice if all of our nerves were like in a line with some zip ties?
There's actually video footage of this surgery. Yes, it really looks like a ball of yarn, and no, you really don't want to watch it. Trust me.
I don't
The
wanna.
footage ends with Matsui literally just stuffing the nerves back into the hole he drilled
What?
and hoping for the best.
Oh my god. He was treating it.
Like my middle school binder. Just shove everything in there and hope for the best. Oh, hell no!
This was Matsui's most serious surgical error yet, and it would later come back to haunt him. But for now, all he got was a slap on the wrist. A month later,
Ow!
That is crazy!
he was back at it.
A month!
He was going to perform another.
He got a vacation? He just went down to like Torikizok, got a couple beers, enjoyed his evening.
Then came back to work?
brain tumor removal, the very first procedure he failed at Akko.
Oh,
Last time, Matsui had left 80% of the tumor intact, but this time he had a plan. See, Matsui treated surgery like a carnival game. Threw the ball too hard last time? Well, switch to underhand. Left most of the tumor intact?
This is him bowling.
This time, I'll keep cutting until I cut out so much healthy and functional brain tissue that it leaves the patient in a persistent vegetative state with zero hope of recovery.
Oh my god.
It's only been 8 months since Matsui started working at Akko Hospital, and he's been involved in as many serious medical errors. In 2 of the 8 cases, the patient had lost their life. This was the last straw. The hospital's entire surgical staff now straight up refuses to work with Matsui, as the
Yeah, because then you feel like you were a part of it. I can't even imagine like the survivor's guilt or like even aiding in somebody who is such a ding-dong doofus that now you were a part of the problem even though you didn't do anything wrong.
chief clinical technician put it, I don't want to be involved in another murder.
No.
The medical safety office calls the director of the hospital, Fuji, in a panic. Only now they're beginning to realize the severity of the situation and how much trouble they're in if,
We need 5 votes to kick this guy. You in?
well, when the public finds out. Kimura, Fuji, and Chiba all start arguing and pointing fingers at each other, but there's one thing they agree on.
He
Matsui
did it!
is to immediately be banned from all surgeries. The nightmare is over. Or at least, that's what they thought. But the story is about to get truly, truly insane.
Worse?
You see, Matsui was going to fight this. His dream was to be a surgeon, and
Oh
he
my
would never
God.
give up. No,
Why can't his dream be to be unemployed like everybody else?
matter what. Matsui has essentially barricaded himself in one of the hospital's conference rooms. It's been weeks since he's seen any patients, and at this point, he
Good.
gives all of his instructions to nurses via text. Akko Hospital has no right to take away my surgical privileges, he angrily mutters to himself. I've done absolutely nothing wrong. Therefore, the only logical explanation is that
Crazy.
someone at the hospital was out to get Matsui, and that person was obviously
Every time I see this like red filter,
There are no bodies in the ER.
Matsui's not working anymore.
Dr. Chiba. Yes, the person who bent over backwards for him the entire time, cleaning up all of his messes, was out to get him. Matsui begins plotting his revenge. His first act is to author a report detailing every single surgical error he's made.
Okay.
Or rather, every single surgical error he hasn't made. Matsui's report is a treasure trove of fake data.
Oh, I thought he was just trying to track more than he could do.
If you don't let me operate again, I'm gonna do all this somewhere else.
And blatant lies. You see, none of his patients ever suffered any side effects, and if they did, it was in no way his fault.
What?
Most critically, Matsui places the blame for all of his errors squarely on the head of Dr. Chiba, claiming that it was all because of his
Wow.
lack of supervision, or in some cases, even claiming that it was Dr. Chiba actually holding the knife.
No
Most
accountability.
surprisingly, perhaps out of shame or sheer resignation, Dr. Chiba actually signs off on the report.
There is no way.
He's like, yep, my fault.
Yep, my fault. Yep, my bad. Yep, that was me. Oh my god.
Just like that, Matsui is absolved of all responsibility by the Medical Safety Office.
Wow.
But it's a hollow victory because the hospital still won't lift his surgery ban. So he needs to get creative.
Okay.
Matsui realizes that even under a surgery ban, he can still operate if he happens to be the only doctor around when a surgery occurs.
Oh my god, he's gonna do some evil shit. He's gonna start putting spikes in the road. He's gonna make sure he's coughing all over the other doctors. He's gonna push somebody down a staircase on an umbrella.
One night, Dr. Chiba receives a call from the hospital. The doctor on the line is in a complete panic. Matsui was on call that night and took a patient into the OR for an emergency catheter surgery.
Okay.
Like a demon who's been sealed away, Matsui has escaped his prison to wreak havoc. Dr. Chiba rushes to the hospital and stops the surgery immediately, but the patient's condition still deteriorates the next day. Of course, this incident only intensifies Matsui's hatred for Dr. Chiba. After everything horrible Matsui's done so far, what he does next is so revolting, so deranged that
What is this image?
I was not involved in this.
it can only be described as pure evil. You see, Matsui decides that the best way to get back at Dr. Chiba is to drag him down to his own level. Since Matsui's banned from surgery, he follows Chiba into surgeries as his assistant, then spends the entire procedure berating Chiba and telling him that he could do better.
Missing foot. You had a missing foot. My hand's steadier.
Yeah, it's not enough that Matsui's the worst surgeon alive, he's now heckling other legitimate surgeons. Eventually,
That's
Chiba relents
horrible.
and gives Matsui the knife, because of course he does, and Matsui gives the patient a lung contusion, because of course he does. For once, Dr. Chiba learns from his mistakes and doesn't give Matsui the knife anymore. So what does Matsui do? He gives up and reflects on his mistakes. No, just kidding, of course he
Yay!
doesn't. Instead, he literally barges into one of Dr. Chiba's surgeries and tries to knock the drill out of his hand so that it'll look like Dr. Chiba injured his patient.
Dude, they just need to tape this guy down to the floor. What the hell?
Let me repeat that. A surgeon went into an operating room in order to sabotage a surgery. But somehow it gets even worse. Somehow Matsui's not done. Not satisfied with just ruining Dr.
Barry, do something.
And what am I supposed to do?
Hey, could you stop that? Thank you.
Chiba's career. Matsui decides to sue the hospital for taking away his surgery privileges.
Okay. He's going for the America strat.
And tries to get Dr. Chiba arrested. Remember that completely fake report Matsui wrote? Using that report, Matsui claims to be a whistleblower with evidence that Dr. Chiba was not only guilty of criminal malpractice, but that Chiba and the hospital were framing him to cover up Chiba.
Oh my god, he couldn't actually stab people in surgery anymore, so now he's backstabbing the man who brought him into work. This is insane.
Chiba's crimes. He goes as far as to claim that Dr. Chiba had tried to murder him
What?
by pushing him down a flight of stairs. None of this was true, of course, but due to the hospital's
Wait, isn't that what I told him to do earlier?
With the umbrella? Oh, my bad.
appeasement and cover-up of his crimes, the evidence was actually on his side. The police have no choice but to open an investigation and place Dr. Chiba under arrest.
What?
Finally, after being interrogated for hours by the police, Dr. Chiba has reached his breaking point. He
Yeah.
releases every record he has, every single email from Matsui where he's
If I sounded mad, that's on me. Sorry about everything. Jail.
crying, throwing a tantrum,
I haven't been sleeping, so I'm heading home early to crash. Nah, he's gonna go play WoW.
begging Dr. Chiba to take the blame, and
The real issue was I didn't know anatomy well enough. I barely controlled the bleeding. I got flustered, and my drilling was too rough. You never want to hear that from your doctor.
This is insane. How is this like, oops, my bad?
trying to put the fault on someone, anyone else. Matsui is utterly
This drill's gonna
humiliated by
send you
this
to
and
heaven.
withdraws his lawsuit, but he has one last trick up his sleeve. He goes straight to the hospital's director, Dr. Fuji, and says, "Maybe I don't have enough to bring down your hospital, but I can make everyone here's life miserable. Don't say a word about what I've done here to anyone. If you
Oh,
do that, you'll never see me again." Fuji is terrified, and seeing an opportunity to finally be rid of Matsui, he makes another deal with the devil. Matsui resigns. At this point, it seems like Matsui has won. Despite being the worst doctor alive, despite ruining countless lives and throwing everyone who tried to help him under the bus to save his own ass, he's
Jerk.
gotten away scot-free. And that would be the case if he had just retired then and there.
but no.
He's gotta push it. Is he gonna try to go work somewhere else? There is no way.
But remember, Matsui is a surgery junkie. He's a medical terrorist, and his only purpose in life is to spread malpractice and misery to as many people as he can. And that misery was finally about to catch up with him.
My God, the only place he should be employed is maybe the Heart Attack Grill.
I can't think of anywhere else.
Matsui happily starts his new job at Suita Tokushukai Hospital, where he works in the emergency department. He's no longer a neurosurgeon, thankfully,
Thank God.
but he plans to take a specialist exam for catheter surgeries in a few.
Get him away from my wee-wee. Get him out of my uterus. Get him away from my peel.
Oh, hell no. He's gonna piss me off.
few months and get right back on the saddle. Remember, this is the procedure that he botched so badly that he killed a 90-year-old patient at Akko. Within a week of Matsui arriving, something strange and incredible happens at the hospital. Everyone
They closed.
notices that Matsui doesn't know how to practice medicine. Then again, it's kind of hard
Oh.
not to notice when you're holding a patient's
Sorry, he operated on me. I don't know what happened right there.
lips and Matsui keeps accidentally pricking your fingers with the needle instead of stitching the patient's mouth together.
Oh my God.
Yes, this actually happened.
That's
Just
horrible.
for fun, let's go over a few of the numerous errors Matsui made during this time.
Okay.
He sent a woman with a broken jaw home without treatment, attempted to administer an IV of adrenaline to a patient not in cardiac arrest before the staff stopped him, left used syringes contaminated with hepatitis C on a patient's bed, and forgot to give a 90-year-old man dialysis for 3 days, leading to
Yeah.
his unfortunate death.
Says it right here.
These are excerpts from 50 pages of incident reports filed against Matsui. Yeah, like I've mentioned, by some miracle, the staff at Suita don't follow the Akko playbook and sweep these accidents under the rug.
Good.
In fact, Matsui quickly becomes a joke at Suita and eventually has to resign.
Oh my God. They embarrassed him so bad that he said no and left.
That is awesome. They finally won him.
After leaving Akko, he would never find steady employment again, just bouncing from hospital to hospital. Matsui also ends up failing the catheter exam he was practicing for, not just because he was incompetent, but because it turns out, surprise, surprise, he fabricated dozens of surgical records. Yeah,
Oh
it turns out
my
those 200
God.
surgeries as an assistant was a blatant lie, and he
He
had been
lied?
in 30 to 40 at most.
Oh
And
my
his troubles didn't
God.
end there. Remember how I said Akko is a small town? Well, in small towns, people talk. And
Yeah.
Akko Hospital had gained a local reputation as the hospital where people get worse, not better.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's pretty fair. Naturally, the press started asking questions, and the spattering stream of reports quickly became a waterfall. The hospital's administration tried their best to quash these reports and deny any wrongdoing, but
How?
that ended as the lawsuits came in.
They just gotta close down. Like, I mean, yeah, the guy performing the surgeries is an asshole and he sucked, and I know that's putting it lightly, but they just kept letting him do it. They're easily accountable as well.
It all ended with the hospital losing their neurosurgery accreditation for all of this mishandling of post-incident safety reviews.
They enabled him.
The walls were closing in around Matsui now. Everywhere he went, people recognized him as that really terrible doctor from Akko.
I'd
The
move.
NHK even made a documentary about the string of medical incidents at Akko Hospital, where he was identified in all but name. The final nail in the coffin came with a civil suit filed by Mrs. Fukunaga, the patient who Matsui left paralyzed below the waist with his drill. Mrs. Fukunaga and her family made several media appearances, telling interviewers that Matsui's surgery left her incontinent
Aw.
and in constant pain. Finally, on December 29th, 2024, 5 years after his reign of terror at Akko Hospital, Matsui Hiroki was indicted and arrested for professional negligence causing
Let's
injury.
go!
They finally got him.
Oh my God. Dude, he should never be a surgeon ever again. He should never, ever, ever get to eat at Koko Ichi ever again. He should never, ever, ever get to have an egg sandwich ever again.
As Matsui was awaiting trial, people began asking some difficult questions and getting shocking answers. Like, how could something like this, or someone like this, terrorize the healthcare system and get away with it for so long, especially in a highly developed country like Japan? Many experts believe that there's a crisis going on at rural hospitals there, where they can't attract talent and struggle just to keep the lights on.
Well, it's also just like, I guess, kind of Japan moment that people don't want to be confrontational. But if you're going to have a job where you have to be confrontational and tell somebody they suck at their job, like, you gotta do it. I don't care. Like, now you're hurting other people because you don't want to speak up.
This was definitely the case at Akko Hospital. I mean, according to whistleblowers, administrators were booking as many surgeries as they could and desperately cutting costs just to stay out of the red. Other experts point to Japan's lax medical safety laws, which don't penalize surgeons or suspend their medical licenses based on the number of accidents they've caused.
What?
In fairness, it can be very difficult to determine whether a surgeon is negligent or incompetent, because every case is so different and every procedure has a different level of risk. Also,
No way.
surgeries are done by a team of doctors, nurses, and technicians, so it can be hard to attribute an accident to a single person's mistake.
Okay, but if my surgeon brings in a chainsaw, revs that shit up, goes actually crazy on my head, it's everybody else's fault. That is insane. He brought the damn chainsaw.
I mean, sometimes it's even hard to determine whether a surgery was a success or not, so it can take years and dozens of surgeries for patterns of error statistics to appear. Part of what made Matsui so hard to catch was that he wasn't making massive, isolated errors. He was, by all accounts, just really, really bad at surgery. But the most troubling part of this story isn't the systemic problems in...
Okay, guys, I broke my butt. It was because I was carrying my dog and she projectile vomited and I ran through the vomit until I slipped and I fell on my butt and I fell on my head and I'm pretty sure I was laying in throw up and I had a concussion and I busted my butt cheek. But you guys told me to go to the hospital. Aren't you glad I didn't? You see what could have happened?
Japanese healthcare, and it's not even the deranged monster
I'm
putting
never
his
going to the
ego above
hospital
the lives
again.
of innocent people. Evil exists, but it's ultimately an aberration. The vast majority of doctors are people we can and should trust.
It's coming. Sorry.
No, the most
I'm not going to the hospital.
disturbing thing about today's story is that so many of those competent, experienced doctors who frankly had every motivation to speak out just stood by and did nothing over and over again.
And over and over
But
and over.
There's something very strange about this story. If you've heard about this case from the media, you might have noticed that there's a huge part of the story I skipped.
Barry is spreading misinformation about the medical system. I'm going to be honest, I can't even spread misinformation when I don't know anything about the medical system because I do the good old-fashioned American way of just staying home and hope I don't die.
I ain't got no money to even experience the medical system.
It's because I can't cover it on YouTube. So I've
Oh.
explained the specifics in the follow-up video, But first, a massive thank you to War Thunder for sponsoring today's video. Make sure to check out War Thunder now for free on PC, PlayStation, Xbox, or on mobile, and use my link in the description to register. If you're new or haven't played in 6 months, you'll also get a bonus pack across PC and console with multiple premium vehicles, in-game currency, and more. Anyways, I've told the rest of the story in the part 2 video, which is available for free in the description. It's on Patreon, but you don't have to sign up to watch it. Speaking of patrons, thank you so much to all of my patrons for supporting me and making my videos possible in the first place.
I love this
and
video.
Finally, thank you.
I mean, I don't love what happened. I think he just had like a good presentation.
Thank you so much to Eli and Liv for doing the art in this video. It
was
seriously would not have been
good.
possible without them. Thank you guys so much.
I love
See you
that
guys next
picture.
time.
I love when people use like negative space to sell an image. Anyways, thank you. Let me grab you really fast. Stay right here. Thank you so much for watching. I super appreciate it. If you're new here, make sure to come by the Twitch stream, twitch.tv/BerryCrepe, or use code Berry for 10% off your game research order. It super helps me out. Anyways, Berry out.